Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Be sure to tell us where you're checking in from, what you're drinking, get your questions in. You know the drill by now. And we are 12 days away from kickoff. I feel like there's going to be one main answer and then one other answer, but tell us who your favorite number 12 is as well, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit too. So with that said, fellas, I actually want to start. Bobby, you post a community poll about once a week or every so many days over on the YouTube channel, and you asked this week or 4 days ago which player will be the surprise of the 2025 Texas Longhorns. You gave four options: running back CJ Baxter, wide receiver Parker Livingston, tight end Jordan Washington, and then, of course, Brad Spence, who's playing a little bit everywhere at edge too. So the answer,
the answer is Parker Livingston. Stone, by the way, not stun, but Stone.
I fixed it for you on this one.
Yep, there is some people out there making sure that we get the pronunciation right of the Texas players, and rightfully so. Parker Livingston right now has won this poll. I have a question, though. I asked this question on Monday of last week, right? I tried to give the polls about a week to play out. We had 2,500 votes. Is it Parker Livingston, or after Steve Sarkisian talked on Saturday about CJ Baxter, would you re-vote and vote for Cedric Baxter at this point? Because CJ Baxter had another good scrimmage on Saturday, came out unscathed, they said. He did have a knee brace on for the entire scrimmage, we're told. And so given that, I still think that Sark himself in that Saturday press conference, Jerry, said, look, we went to him after the first scrimmage and had a conversation and talked about accelerating his timeline for return. They had always thought, Sark included, and we relayed this fact to you guys, that there would be likely very few carries for Cedric Baxter against Ohio State. After Sark saw him in that first scrimmage, he said, wait a minute, let's reconsider this. And I tell you one of the reasons why. And it's not just that he's healthier than expected and all this other stuff. It's because Cedric Baxter can move piles in the middle of the field. He is an answer, a big answer to this offense that they lacked a year ago. They had to run fullback trap for Jarrett Gibson in short yardage because they didn't have a true short yardage back a year ago. He changes what Sark can do and look like in short yardage. And I think that's going to be a big deal for Texas. Again, he moves piles. And I just wonder now if we had to redo this a week later, right, or 4 days later, if Cedric Baxter wouldn't be that guy. That being said, Parker Livingston had another good scrimmage on Saturday, I'm told. That's the second consecutive one. He's looked good all spring and summer and now into the fall. I think I would have had Parker Livingston as my choice until Saturday. And now I think CJ Baxter may be the surprise of 2025 for the Longhorns. Jerry?
Yeah, so I would have been a little different there. I would have had obviously Baxter, as he's step-by-step come back from this process and now has got himself to this point, which that's where the Texas staff was too, by the way, on that. It was a step-by-step process, and wait to see what happens when you start getting hit. It's wait to see if you have a setback. I probably would have had CJ Baxter, Ty Anthony Smith as my 1-2 on that. Maybe not myself on Ty Anthony Smith, but Sark's called one player that didn't play a lot last year, a budding star on this team, and it was Ty Anthony Smith. And so I probably would have had Brad Spence 3 on my list if I was doing in Parker 4 if I was doing my list personally. But I think all those guys are going to have really good seasons for Texas. And I think that the thing about Parker is, aside from a poll, I think he fits Arch's skill set well to help Parker maximize what he can do. Like, I don't think Parker And Quinn, because like Isaiah Bond fit Quinn's skill set. I don't think Parker really fit Quinn's skill set. I think Parker being a run and catch down the field route running receiver, much like DeAndre Moore, but DeAndre Moore has the gas after the catch. But he really fits Arch's skill set. And I think that sets Parker up to have a really good season, because the reality is some of these receivers fit one quarterback skill set and some fit another. I think Parker and Arch are a really good match, and that's going to help Parker this season and beyond.
All right, well, before we move on, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake, if you'll let me do something special there, I want to do something special for John, if at all possible, because he's asked us to do this. He is interested right now in being a speaker at South by Southwest, or either the regular version or the education version. He wants your vote. John's helped us 3 years in a row here at Coffee and Football and sponsor us. He wants your vote to actually do an educational proposal for the folks at South by Southwest. John wants to present a speech called Financial Wellness, a Key to Mental and Physical Wellness, and he needs your vote. And both the core South by Southwest competition and the South by Southwest EDU competition, the latter being focused solely on the education community in Austin and audience. John is asking that you please vote for both this week. John thanks you very much. And as always, he says, hook 'em horns. He is really excited about this season, starting the third season as a sponsor of On Texas Football. Thank you so much, John. I want to add this about John as well. He hosted us, Jerry and myself, with the Collin County Texas X's on Saturday afternoon. We had a good time there talking to the folks up in Collin County. Thank you so much, John, for your sponsorship of On Texas Football, and good luck to you in this endeavor. I think that it's a great idea. Financial fitness is not only good. I know this from firsthand experience. It's not only, physical wellness, but it's also mental wellness when you're handle your business financially. So good luck to this keynote presentation from John.
There you go. All right, Bobby, I think you got a special guest for us this morning. I'm going to bring him on in.
Yeah, absolutely. Our friend Nick Shuley. How you doing, Nick?
What's up, fellas? How are you guys doing?
Dude, I'm doing pretty good. Third Longhorn in the house a little bit with us. We talked about doing more and more together as the season went on. And lo and behold, Nick, you and I and folks got together and decided on this tour thing that we've got going on later this week. I've been calling it a party, because even though we're going to do our normal shows, et cetera, from the venues, it's really more about getting Longhorns together, out and about, seeing some folks, and just hanging out. How you doing, man? And tell us a little bit about the tour.
Man, I'm doing great. Appreciate y'all having me, man. I'm on the big show. I'm excited. So I thanks for doing this. Yeah, man. No, we specifically had them at bars for a reason. It's we don't want this to be too formal. We're not formal people over here.
Hey, Nick, you came up with this idea of Third and Longhorn and have kind of pushed that out. It's become a regular viewing opportunity for folks that are Longhorn fans. I think it's terrific. You really get down into the nitty gritty of players. Tell folks some of your favorite stories from those, and then tell people who you've got coming up here in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wouldn't give me a lot of credit for it. I just heard Jeremy Hills and a couple of former players yapping at the gym. And mind you, in this story, I was not working out. They were, because if you've seen these guys, I don't belong in the same room as them. I was there for a meeting, but I heard them talking football, and I said, I was like, guys, I know everybody says this, but you guys need a podcast. And so that was kind of, the synthesis for it and where that all started. But man, we've had some awesome guests. I think it's, you hear some from a lot of the players, but you don't ever get to go too deep. And granted, we're not in here, investigative reporting with the guys, more kind of telling stories of where they're from and how they got here and just what they like to do. But that part of that stem from just the NIL side of like, how could we create a way for people to get to know these kids, because what better way to get sponsorships, to get people involved, than to actually get to know the players and profile them. And we've had some really exciting ones. I think we've had some ones that kind of, got emotional or kind of blew me away. And, you never know what to expect when a kid comes in there. Like this sounds bad to say, and I mean no hate against the offensive linemen, but they're pretty kind of hard nosed, like very not going too crazy in the interviews. And then we had Gooseby come in, and he was not what I expected. And he as he said, he's a wide receiver trapped in an offensive lineman's body. And we just had, and it'll come out tomorrow, Brian Arakpo, which was amazing. Like I haven't heard him do a ton of interviews. I know he's the voice of God, but he was awesome and shared a lot of good stuff. And I think I grew up a Texas fan. I'm a Texas dork. Like I love Texas through and through. And so for me, it's just exciting to get to know some of these people that I watched on the field. And hearing the Arakpo stories was pretty funny, because Jeremy Hills definitely made it very clear that Arakpo did not smile once while he was on camp, while he was like with him at Texas. So it was pretty funny to watch them, and Rack's just smiling, having fun, and Jeremy was just blown away. He's like, I don't know you, man. Who is this person?
Now that football's over, Rack's gonna have a lot of fun watching his kids grow up playing on the Friday nights coming up. Hey, Nick, vibe in Austin. You've been in Austin a long time. What's the vibe this year headed into the season? Is it any different? Does it feel any different when you're out and about?
It does, man. And it almost scares me a little, because there's this there's definitely should be confidence, in my opinion. Look, we have a great team. We've got a lot of studs returning, and but I'm starting to feel like that it flipped a little for me in the overconfidence of just people being like, well, I've had people come up to me saying, what should I bet? Are we going to win these by like 30? Are we going to be Ohio State by like 3 touchdowns? And I'm like, just breathe.
Yeah.
Just breathe. We lost 8 of 11 guys on offense. Let the offense, breathe a little and grow a little. I think the defense is going to be really good. I mean, you guys talk about it all the time. I think I steal 90% of my takes from you guys anyway. So, I do think we're going to be good, but I think that it's going to take a little bit. And I think this team's going to hit its stride. And that's really what it's about. It's a little more similar to college basketball now, where it's like, you got to hit your stride at the right point and don't drop too many games early in the year, and then go in and take care of business in the playoffs.
Hey, one of the things I think Sark has done the best job since Mac is making the former players feel welcome when they enter Moncrief. They come to practices, they're around the program. Is that the sense you get as well? I mean, I don't even think it's a question, but what's your sense, and what do the players say about that behind the scenes?
Yeah, that's a great point, Jerry. Like they all feel like such a part of the family now. And just to hear, I mean, Rack was talking about, the time he spent with Sark, the time he spent with CDC, like it's definitely opened doors now. And we've all remember the times where people didn't feel like they were invited back. And I think there's been a definite reconnection. And look, winning helps that, right? Like things open up a lot when you win. And I think it's definitely an open atmosphere. And I'll say this factually, I've never heard a bad word behind the scenes about the program currently, as far as it goes, like alumni, et cetera, coming back. Like they all feel so welcome, like to the point where I'll say this on the air because I want to get him in trouble, but I don't know how Jeremy Hills gets into the games. He just shows up. He never has a bat. And he's like, man, just roll up. Just roll up with me. I'm like, dude, no, you can pull that off. I can't pull that off. They'll be like, excuse me, little intern, what are you doing?
Well, I tell you what, obviously he's the brother of Tony Hills, and I think Tony's on with us every Wednesday, Nick. And I would say the Hills brothers can be very convincing. They have the gift in that regard, in my opinion. Nick, one last thing before we talk one more time about what we're doing this week out and about. You mentioned those guys that you visited with. You also visited with Mac Brown, Steve Sarkisian this offseason. Your thoughts about that dynamic even? I mean, it's got to be hard because Sark talked a little about it, said he loves having Mac out at practice, but it's almost one of those things that I think that could be a get in the way type of thing, but it seems like those two coaches are handling it pretty well.
Yeah, and they obviously, publicly both have said great stuff about each other, and that's generally what you'd expect. But I do think there's definitely obviously a respect there. And I think, Mac's kind of come back into town, and he really never left. If you go to these, I'm not on that high level list. I've only been a couple times, like a Mac, Jack McConaughey, that kind of stuff. Like he stayed part of the community, but you can tell that this is a softer Mac. This is a different Mac, and I think he's kind of settling into his role. And I won't speak for him, but it feels like he's kind of settling into this role as as the kind of guru, or the wise sage who's come back. So I didn't feel any of that when I talked about them. They both seem very complimentary of each other and like where the other's at. But yeah, I think Mac, it's a good time for him to come back and a good time for everybody to embrace him. I don't think there's anything competitive there. I think honestly, if anything, he probably is helping some with how to deal with certain things. He's lived it. He's been through it. He's dealt with the national championship pressures and the successes and the failures. So it's a good guy to have around.
All right. One more time. Thanks I agree completely with that sentiment. I just want to make sure, since you've talked to those guys, I want to make sure that, Nick, one more time, describe what's going on this week with all of us here.
Yeah, well, you said it best, man. We just kind of wanted to take it on the road. And I think we had hopes of doing a lot more cities, but then when you get into the logistics of all this, and I know I have 7 people in our crew, there's six hosts and then Mark, who produces. So it's definitely a road party, but it really is just a party. We figured we'd get out there, hang out with people, and we got a little happy hour from 5 to 6 that you guys will be a part of, and we'll be a part of, and that one's a paid one, not because we're getting rich, but just because we're trying. I gotta get hotel rooms and everything for everybody, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, Austin, Houston, Dallas. Hopefully this becomes a regular thing where we can do it more often. But yeah, we just want to get out and say hi to people, and and thank you guys for having me on. Let me talk about it. And I apologize. I tried to get some important people from our show on here, but it's juggling schedules with school starting and kids is a little interesting now.
Nick, you're awesome. We appreciate you. We'll see you tomorrow at Schultz's. That will start the tour. That's going to be fun. We'll be out there and talk a little Longhorn football. Thank you for joining us. You sell yourself a little short about what you put together, because I think Third and Longhorn is a great product, buddy. I really do.
Well, thank you guys. And I'm a huge fan of y'all in this show. Obviously, like, you guys know that I watch this anytime I can, anytime I'm not trapped on a call or a work meeting. I'm always on in the morning. So I thank y'all for what you do, and appreciate all the audience out there. It's cool to see, man. You've united the whole Texas crowd, and you guys crush it. Blake, Jerry, you guys are awesome. And and CJ and Rod and everybody else. So yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Take care of yourself, Dick. You have a good one. See you tomorrow.
See y'all soon. Bye.
Well, Jerry, what'd you think of his response? I thought you asked a great question about players being welcomed back. I thought that was really revealing. It's what we've heard, but what we've heard is sometimes not necessarily reality, and that it seems like it's more genuine or sincere.
And I think we'll talk about this later when another season starts, but I'm seeing the same thing on the basketball side. And I think that's really important for any university, because, there are times when the players would tell you, well, there was a shock of smart air in basketball or whatnot, that they didn't feel like enough was done for the former players, and they didn't feel like taking time and driving 3 or 4 hours and coming back and being part of it. And I think that where Texas is at right now from a football perspective, and I think Sean Miller's doing similar things in basketball, from what I've been told by multiple people, and Chris Ogden obviously is a helper there. I think those are extremely positive, because I do think the family is so important. And look, recruiting's changed because of NIL, but I will say this. For parents, when they come on a campus, some of the very best recruiters for their kids are people who wore the uniform and come back and live in Austin and want to be back around the program. And they may talk to player X's parents and say, this was the best decision I ever made. I would do the same thing all over again. After I retired from the NFL, I immediately moved my family here. My kids are growing up here. Those things carry a ton of weight in recruiting. A ton of weight. And and we see all the guys on the sidelines and just think, oh, they're there for the game. But think about the conversations they have around the game. That's what's most important.
They all move to Austin and stay in Austin. There's a reason. They don't, and I'm not saying, I shouldn't say all, because not all of them do, but so many of them do.
But they get back.
And they've spent 5 to 10 years in the NFL. They can live anywhere they want financially. I mean, it is what it is. And they choose Austin so often. I think that speaks volumes. But I just want them to feel welcome back. And I want to say this. I'm not just talking about the younger players and the younger generation, like 2010. I want the older guys to feel welcome back just as well, And so I feel like Sark has tried to do that. Chris Del Conte is trying to do that more. I think maybe there was a time there about when, I don't want to say UT was without an athletic director, but they were without a cohesive plan of athletics when DeLoss Dodds left. And so Chris Del Conte's trying to play catch up on that. And that is easier said than done. But I do feel like I want, as someone that cares about the university, I want people that put blood, sweat, and tears on the field, or however they did it, to always feel like the university has an open arms for them. And
Bobby,
they have to have special treatment or just open arms. Let them figure out all that other stuff.
To your point, I think sometimes we just talk about the coaches doing it, but Chris Del Conte is a big part of that as well. He's a very big part of that. In all that planning and all those conversations and all that understanding. And he deserves a lot of mention for that as well. Just a little off of that, Michael McConnell. Colt McCoy lives in Aledo, I believe, Blake. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, ish
in that area. Jermichael Finley lives obviously in that area as well. So there's a lot of guys that live in Austin. There's a lot of guys that live 2 to 3 hours away. I mean, TJ Ford's in Houston. There's a few others. I think LaMarcus Aldridge's in Dallas area, but those guys they're getting back in both those sports a lot more now. I'll tell you that.
All right, guys, up next, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of questions, super chats. We're going to get to those here momentarily. And but first, I want to talk a little recruiting. What's the latest there?
Well, we've been mentioning that, Zealous Hicks was a reclass from 26 to 25 last year. And the one thing we've been maintaining, hey, look, there's going to be 2 or 3 names that pop up as possible reclasses from 27 to 26. And I'm of the opinion there will be somebody added to this class from 27 to 26. Well, the first names kind of popped up. It's Kenton Dobson, current 4-star 2027 corner from Miami Norland, who Mark Orfe offered May 11th or 12th when he was in the spring evaluation period when he was down to see Justice Fitzpatrick and some other kids. Well, Dobson, the Miami commit, has come out and said he's considering reclass from 27 to 26. It's an interesting field there, by the way. I can't remember what high school that is. But Dobson is a guy who's been committed to Miami, but he's been having conversations with Mark Orfe, Kenodo Hudson, Texas staff members. I'm expecting him and his family to get out to a game this year. I kind of have September 20th circled. I'm not saying that's for sure when he's going to come out, but I do have that game kind of circled because they have a game on a Thursday night, so it'd be easier travel. And that September 20th, if he were to come out that weekend, that's going to be Texas' first big recruiting weekend. That's Derek Cooper's official visit weekend. I think you're going to see Dia Bell and a lot of those guys, Tyler Atkinson, get in because it's a night game on Saturday. Obviously, any of the commits in state that don't have a game on Saturday will be at Texas Sam Houston State game September 20th because it's a night game. So that's your first big recruiting weekend. I do think right now there's a good chance that Dobson ends up on campus at some point during the season. We'll see when that is. But he's a 4-star corner, maybe a DB. I'm interested to see his junior tape this year. But a guy that's committed to Miami that is strongly considering the reclass from 27 to 26. He's just about going and get the academic work done. That's against Miami Northwestern right there, by the way. Those that don't know the Bulls uniforms. But he is a guy that Mark Orphe has been in contact with in the last week about this reclass possibility, and a guy that Texas would take a serious look at if he reclasses from 27 to 26. He won't be the only one. I do want to say that. He won't be the only one. More kids are trying to reclass nowadays versus 2 years ago even. This is becoming more of a thing, and we'll see if it's just a trend these a couple of years or if it becomes a yearly trend. I think where NIL goes and profit sharing is ultimately going to direct that kind of the numbers for guys. But this is a first DB that we've heard that's thinking about reclass from 27 to 26 that Texas has interest in.
Pretty sticky in coverage, long arms, Jerry. Another Miami prospect. The Longhorns already have 3 from South Florida. I think I may be interested in being down there at the University of Texas at Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
We may have to open up a satellite campus down there.
I'll run it. I'll run it. I'll be the AD.
There you go. Three already down in South Florida, Jerry. Running back Derek Cooper had a really good game. I don't know who all saw that on Thursday night, if we were able to see all of those highlights. But also James Johnson had a good game on Friday, as well as Dia Bell, the quarterback. Texas, 3 players that are possible number 1 players in the country at their positions, all in South Florida. Texas already has commitments from.
Yeah,
that's just crazy.
And what that means, fight to signing day on Cooper and Johnson, as it should be. Miami, Florida, those schools aren't going to back off, just like Myron Charles. Florida State never gave up on Cedric Baxter. Florida didn't give up on Jarrett Gibson. These are long fights, and you have them committed. You're in a good spot. But, and I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but Miami and Florida State, they aren't doing their job if they don't make this difficult. You don't just let guys like this walk out of your state. It's no different from Texas or Texas A&M battling on a kid they really, really, really like. You're going to stay in the battle, and you may not win all of them, but you're going to stay in the battle. If not, you're not doing your job. Longhorn Frenzy asked about Tyler Atkinson. It's some sort of an ankle. I've not gotten clarity on what it actually is, how long he's going to be out.
Yeah, if you're listening on podcast, Tyler Atkinson, the linebacker out of Georgia, Grayson, Georgia, did not play in his game on Friday or Thursday. I can't remember which. And Jerry had done some reporting and found out that he was an ankle, but didn't know exactly what it was.
So he wasn't in a boot. There's pictures of him from the sidelines at that game. He was not in a boot. He wasn't in a cast, anything like that. Wasn't on crutches. He had a wrap on his left ankle. So I've not heard how many games he's expected to miss at this point. That's being kept pretty hush-hush.
All right, let's jump over to some super chats this morning, and we're going to start here with Matty M. Thank you, Matty, as always. Says, good morning, OTF. Loved what Wingo had to say about Malik. Said he was the toughest to go against because he notices subtle things, body language, positioning, body lean, and figures out what you're going to do. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, he's Malik Muhammad came into Texas as a technician, and I would venture to say he spends as much time in the film room outside of required hours or required meetings as any defensive back at Texas. And he's always been that way. That's been a consistent with him. And I think that's going to make him so popular with NFL people when it comes time for him to do the interview process and Sark and those guys to start answering the questions about Malik Muhammad. And that's why I think, look, if he can start causing 3-4 turnovers this year, I think he has a chance to really elevate his draft status this year to being a first-round considered guy, second-round type guy. It'll depend on how he runs, but there's been guys that have run low 4.5s that have gone pretty high because they were a technician and they just checked every other box. But I think Manny Muhammad, that is absolutely his strength as a player, is his preparation. He's an A++ guy in that regard.
All right, and before we get to these next few super chats, Bobby, I'm going to let you tell everyone about one of our sponsors today. That's Ridge Wallet.
Yeah, I like Ridge Wallet. I actually have been using it now for whether you want sleek black, forged carbon fiber, a wallet that features your favorite NFL team. They have those now, or Longhorns even, or one that just matches your vibe. They've got you covered. Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create premium, everyday carry essentials like key cases, suitcases, and rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day risk-free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all products. If you're ready to upgrade your wallet and maybe your ride, for a limited time only, head to ridge.com and use code ONTexas at checkout for 10% off your order and a chance to win Ridge's biggest sweepstakes ever, a Lamborghini Hurricane Storado. There you go. A Hennessy Velociraptor, or $100,000 in cash. No purchase necessary to enter, but every dollar you spend gets you more entries. That's ridge.com and use ONTexas as the code. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you. Ridge Wallet, I've been using it for about 6 months, and I absolutely love it.
Yep. I got mine right here, actually.
Yeah.
Great product. Phenomenal. All right, more super chats this morning here. And MLH10, thank you for the super chat, says, with the Ohio State quarterback situation in our defense, do you bring the blitz packages early or drop into coverage, try to take away the wide receivers, and force Ryan Day to try and run the football?
I think you always mix it up. I mean, you don't want to be predictable unless an offensive line's struggling and you're just in their head and you're getting them behind the chains consistently. But look, I think Texas' strength is their pass rush. And Ohio State, there's been some chatter for those that follow the Ohio State stuff that they're shuffled a little bit of their offensive line in preparation for Texas, which is very interesting. But I think it starts with the pass rush this year, but you're going to mix it up. You do not want to become predictable. I think that's the worst thing you can be, period, on offense or defense, is predictability, unless you're so ultra talented that you can do whatever it wants and it doesn't matter. But in talent neutralized games, that's rarely the case. So I think you're going to mix it up, but it's all going to be predicated on pass rush. The number one objective. A lot of people think holding Jeremiah Smith down is the number one objective. I don't think that's the number one objective. The number one objective in this game for the Texas defense is to make Julian Sayin as uncomfortable as possible, as much as possible, and get his clock sped up, force him to play on half the field at times. That's how you take away some of the Ohio State receiver core, is to make him play on half the field due to pass rush. Then that limits his ability to scan the field and use all the guys. Nick Saban was famous for that.
You said this is a great point right here. SD, the QB will see ghosts. This is an important part. We were talking with Rod Babers last night, Jerry. I think that you said they need to do both and mix it up. I think just as important is disguise.
Yeah.
We talked about Texas now playing a lot of 3 safety looks. So it literally could be, they could mix in a little bit of that Ohio State style defense. I think, Iowa State style defense that they familiarized and really got after that 3 high style. Oklahoma State had some success with it as well. Texas doing that with Michael Taff at nickel, or Jelani McDonald, who can slide down to nickel and rotate back, gives Texas a lot of disguise. Trey Moore playing linebacker gives Texas a disguise element to their defense. So while I agree they need to get after the quarterback and they need to mix it up and all this other stuff, I think disguise is going to play a bigger role in what Pete Kwiatkowski tries to do this year than maybe it has to this point in his tenure at Texas, because they have more pieces that can rotate around. I mean, Jelani McDonald and Michael Taff are playing nickel and safety. Trey Moore can rotate down and play off the edge. Anthony Hill can play off the edge as well as at linebacker. Even Brad Spence, if they want to, can take him off the edge. There's a lot of disguise that, in my opinion, when you go play Ohio State and they're going to have a first-time starter at quarterback, might be able to bait them into interceptions, hit them when he's not expecting it from a backside blitz. I think disguise may be the key against Ohio State.
And the other thing that goes with that, I think, is huge, is first down run defense. First down run defense is going to be a big one, I think, for Texas. And look, I think it's big for Ohio State in this game too, because neither team, and I know Arch has started 2 games, but it's not – this is his first road start, and what a first road start as a college player, by the way. Neither one of these offensive-minded coaches wants their inexperienced quarterbacks in 2nd and 13s, 3rd and 14s. First down run defense is going to be a hidden, really big deal in this game. Who can keep their quarterback ahead of the chains, I think, is going to be really big in this game.
We have a super chat from Jesse this morning. Thank you, Jesse. He says, what's your concern level on Jonah Williams? Light safety room next year and him missing so much development. Will he have to pick a sport to start? It's a valid question.
I mean, look, we talked about this, and he's had a little bad luck with injuries, right? It's just kind of 2 or 3 different things. He had the fractured collarbone in the playoffs his senior year in football. But then he got the baseball, and he had a couple of soft tissues, right? And this one is the hamstring has caused him to miss vast majority of fall camp. And so he's missed 2 scrimmages now. You're way behind at that point. I mean, we've talked about Phil Same making a move, a player ahead of him, which we said going into fall camp. How important is it for Jordan Johnson, Bill, and Phil Same to have really good fall camps? It's very important because Jonah Williams and Zealous Hicks are right behind him and are really talented. Well, Jonah's been watching those guys have good fall camp. So, I think it's an interesting question. Is it just a little bad luck here? The injury bug can happen. And, Cedric Baxter had some bad luck his freshman year with just a calf or, just a couple of things that just slowed you. But he was on the field when it happened. The question for Jonah is if he doesn't start getting closer, how much will we even see of him this year?
That's the biggest thought process in my mind. It's one thing to be out for a couple of weeks and, we're just getting your hammy better. It's another when, look, you missed most of fall camp. I mean, and you weren't in most of spring ball because you were on the baseball diamond.
Yeah.
So while we all know he is a special athlete, he really is. I mean, special athletes tend to overcome these things, right, Jerry? I mean, so I want to. There's hope there. I think that the question is fundamental at some level. Is his body finally saying, "Uncle, I need to choose one and get rest in the off season, as opposed to keep pressing myself so I can build my body back up for whatever sport he chooses." Yeah. I'm not saying he needs to choose one or the other. He needs to go do what he wants to do. But that's my inclination is, it may be time for him to let his body rest for an off season, et cetera.
And my thought on him coming out of high school was, look, I just don't see playing both sports 3 years in college.
It's hard.
It's very difficult. And it sets you back in both. So, even when Kyler Murray did at Oklahoma, he played 1 year of college baseball. 1 full year, I think it was. But I don't see 3 years of each. I think that's going to be very difficult. I think he may be forced into a decision at some point here in the next year or so, is my bet. I just don't see 3 years of both. It's going to be hard if you're never around for spring football practice to really, if football, and he came to college because of football. He could have easily stayed at Galveston Ball and gone in the first or second round of the MLB draft. But he made a football decision. So
do you feel Dwayne Wehunt asked this question. You feel his future is football or baseball?
Man, I used to argue that Kyler Murray should have chosen baseball for longevity of career. But doesn't mean I'm right. Kyler Murray's made, $300 million playing quarterback in the NFL and won a Heisman, right?
Yeah.
But he was also the only guy to ever be drafted top 10 in both sports. So he's an anomaly. He's way over here by himself with like Dave Winfields of the world in athletics. But he loves football. I think he's going to have to give up baseball to be a great football player. I'll say that.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, look, Bo Jackson did it. Deion Sanders did it. There are a few. And is he that level of athlete? I don't know that I can say. Do you think he is that level of athlete? I
think he is that level athlete, but athlete, yes, but it doesn't matter if you can't stay healthy.
And I will say this: corner and running back are different than safety. Corner, you can put a guy like Deion Sanders on an island.
He's not throwing his body around the whole time.
Yeah, running back is more of that instinct level. Safety is got a little study.
And to your point, Bobby, the thing with Jonah, and we've talked about this, is for those that didn't see him in high school, he plays with zero regard for his body. So he is hard on his body as an athlete. To your point, he's a safety. He's a 6'3", 205-pound safety that has to bring the hammer in the run game to be who he is, right? He has to be a very physical player. He just plays with zero fear, period, which is a great thing. But when you're playing two sports, can you stay healthy playing with zero fear? When you're playing a safety, I mean, it could be it's playing center field and running into the wall full speed, right? I mean, this guy plays with zero fear as an athlete, just the way you want. But can you stay healthy playing two sports, doing that at the position he is? We'll see. I think it's going to be tough. I think he'll be forced into a decision.
All right, our next super chat this morning comes from Drew. Thank you, Drew. And he says, good morning, guys. Love the show. My question, which position benefits the most from another position being great or elite at their job, like running back, O-line, wide receiver, quarterback, etc.?
I've always said O-line benefits from an elite running back more than any other position.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
because you don't have to hold your blocks. Yeah.
You think O-line at Arizona State wasn't helped by having Sam Levitt at quarterback that could run around for days, and Cam Scatterbo running back who could pound it, make people miss, run through tackles? I think it's O-line and the skill position, the quarterback and running back, no doubt in my mind. I would say that Rod Babers would say maybe cornerbacks and defensive pass rush.
And pass rush, yeah.
But yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, so it's one of the great discussions in college football is like, do you have to have a great offensive line? Truly, I've always said you have to have a good offensive line. Yep. Because Dabo proved you don't have to have a great offensive line. He won 2 national titles and didn't have an offensive lineman drafted in the top 3 rounds. But he was great everywhere around it. At quarterback, at running back, at wide receiver, at tight end. Offensive line, and especially with the speed of the game and schemes nowadays, I think offensive line is the position that benefits the most from everything around it, not vice versa.
And then we have a super chat from UT Tyler Guy. Thank you, sir. He says, would you agree that the offensive line had pre-snap penalties because they knew Quinn wasn't elusive? Injuries didn't help. They knew they had to be more precise. Arch is far more mobile and perhaps less offensive line penalties.
And he's also taken more snaps under center. That should lead to fewer pre-snap penalties when you're not going on a clap or a silent. I don't know that it was elusiveness, though. I don't know it was the lack of elusiveness. I think it's more I think Jake Majors just had an issue that was very evident, especially early in his career, and he tried to coach himself out of it, did the best he could, right? Cam Williams, I think last year it was just his first year as a starter. I mean, Cam Williams had not played that much football, guys. I mean, what was he, a year and a half starter at Duncanville and then a year starter at Texas? So he hadn't really played that much football. He and Jake Majors were the two primary culprits. Hayden Connor had some missteps. So I think it's not – I do not think it's the quarterback elusiveness that is the issue. I think it'll be if you're under center and your experience level generally. Jake Majors had always had problems with that, even from the very start, and got better over time. Sark, by the way, Sark, one of the things that Sark did say on Saturday, if you missed this, because I believe the person that asked the super chat knew this already, but Sark said they went from 10 to 11 pre-snap penalties on the first scrimmage to 2 the second scrimmage. And he was with 100+ plays. That's okay. That's
and
not.
And you know that excited the staff. One, because it was an emphasis of Flood and Sark, but two, scrimmage 2 is the coaches are on the sideline. So it's there's no communication really. It's all players at that point, and they want to see how players react. But by the way, nothing causes pre-snap penalties more than lining up against beasts on defense.
Good luck. Collinson was going to cause a few.
Yes.
By the way, you think Julian's saying if he's the quarterback the first series, he's not going to try to draw Colin Simmons offsides?
They're left tackle.
Just to help his left tackle some.
Yeah.
You can picture that coming early.
I mean, look, if I'm Colin Simmons the first play of the game, I'm going to walk up in a 2-point stance, then I'm going to drop my hand, and as I drop down, say, I'm in a 3-point stance this year. You better get off the ball. I am saying that the first play of the game to try to get in the guy's head. See if I can get a false start right out of the gate. I'm going to tell him, you watch that tape last year? I was in a 2-point stance. And as I drop my hand, this year I'm in a 3. You better get off the ball, dude. That's what I'm saying. I'm bringing the game to them.
Jerry wants the smack talk. Jerry, we're 12 days away. Colt McCoy days away from playing football. Jerry wants the smack talk to begin today. The minute you step on the field in Columbus, Jerry's game.
You thought I was good in the 2-point stance? Here comes a 3-point stance. You better get off the ball really quick, like probably now. Don't wait for the snap. Just go ahead and get off the ball. That's what it's going to take.
Oh, I love Jerry Hamilton. He's talking smack.
Yeah,
he's
you got to have a lot of
Simmons.
game. You got to have a lot of game before the snap.
All right, fellas, I need to tell everyone about one of our other sponsors today. That is Prize Picks. Preseason football is underway. College football is here. Well, in a few days anyway. So don't miss any of the action this season on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And it's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and, of course, right here in the great Lone Star State. Now, Prize Picks is also the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Last year, I did great on Prize Picks, and I'm looking forward to repeating that action this year as well. I'm, of course, keeping my eyes on some former Longhorns, including Bijan Robinson, Xavier Worthy. They helped me out a ton last season. But, of course, it's not just pro ball. They have college football as well, and I'll be all over that. So come join me on that action. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Join millions of users and sign up today. Download the Prize Picks app. Use code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. Run your game. Well, let's just.
They are going to be a season-long sponsor for us, by the way, this year, Blake.
Good stuff.
So happy about Prize Picks coming on board.
Yep. Love me some Prize Picks for sure. Well, let's jump right back into Super Chats because we got some more like this one here from Nathaniel. He says, what type of offense and defense is going to give Texas the most problems this season? Also, what stadium is still on y'all's bucket list or maybe a team that you hope we play soon? Hook 'em.
Offense is easy for me, and I've agreed with Bobby 1,000% on this. if they're healthy, Florida's the offense that I think can give a lot of people problems because you have an NFL running back. You have a really good guard center guard at Florida, maybe the best center in the country. They're movers of people inside. Jaden Ball is a really good runner and a future NFL guy. If Lagway's healthy, then he gives you over-the-top ability plus enough mobility. But I don't expect his mobility to be used this year because that lingering shoulder, if we're talking about it, how much has it scared Billy Napier and his staff right now that they've had to shut the guy down multiple times? But then they've done a really good job adding pieces at wide receiver. Like J. Michael Sturdivant out of Flower Mound Marcus, he's been at Cal and UCLA, can really run at 6'3", 210. He is a vertical guy. He can race by you. Eugene Wilson, I think he's back on the field from a minor hip, is a tremendous slot receiver, an NFL player in my opinion. Dallas Wilson, who's still out, the freshman, had a huge spring game, a 6'3", big target that can win 50-50s, turn them into 80-20s, make plays down the field. And they have a couple other guys. Florida has as complete of an offense from a player standpoint, and the Florida the running backs are good too, although they lost their number 2 guy, Traylon Webb. Out behind Ball, they have good players. They have as complete of an offense to put stress on you, I think, as anybody Texas will play this year.
I agree with that.
But Lagway's got to be healthy. If not, it's a huge drop in what they want to do.
A lot of people are talking about this. First of all, at Jaden Ball, with all due respect to Trey Wisner, outside of Trey Wisner, Jaden Ball is my favorite running back in the SEC. That's the running back out of University of Florida. The other one that I really liked, and he got injured this weekend, is Jamarian Miller from Tyler. What is it now? Legacy.
Yeah.
He originally was committed to Texas and then signed with Alabama. He's out with a separated shoulder, we believe, Roger. Thanks for bringing that up. I really like him. But I want to go back to the places I have and haven't been that are on my bucket list. I've been to Michigan, Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, LSU, Alabama. Georgia is on that bucket list. I haven't been to an actual game there. I've been to Florida State. I've been to USC. Just trying to think. My actual bucket list is not a college game right now. I haven't been to Old Soldier Field for a game in Chicago. I've been to Cowboy Stadium. I've been to the Eagles. I've been to see the Washington team back at the old RFK, but I've never been to Chicago to see the Bears play at Soldier Field with that venue right on the lake. I think that I'd love to go see a game there.
What about watching
football? I'm pretty good.
Bobby, where's watching the Miami Hurricanes at Hard Rock Stadium on your list?
I have not been. I've been to the Orange Bowl, so I counted that. I've been to Orange Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Rose Bowl.
It's an amazing. I hear it's an amazing atmosphere.
It's so full.
Game.
Really hard to get.
Plenty of leg room at that stadium if there's 15,000 people there.
I've always said and I was lucky enough to go once, but I'll tell you where I think maybe the most underrated. Virginia Tech was cool. The most underrated, maybe South Carolina.
Yeah,
South Carolina has got a really underrated home field and crowd and kind of. It's a great environment. Obviously, there it is. Bobby, I think you can get that seat right down there behind the Miami bench. Yeah.
That reminds me of the old Astrodome during a Friday night regular season with high school teams. That's about how many people were in there.
Yeah. South Carolina and Auburn are really underrated places nationally.
I have to say this. I have to say this. There's the pro football game. One school I've never been to. I've actually been on campus and went to their stadium, but I've never been there for a game. And it's just natural. Is OU.
Yeah.
I mean, why would I ever go to an OU game at OU?
Yeah.
So I mean, that whole for me, never been there for that. That might be on my, I don't know that I would call it a bucket list. I would rather just, I don't know, an outhouse list, I guess. But
yeah,
I've
I've not been to a game at Clemson. I've had a lot of really good reviews from people who have. I've not been the one there.
I haven't either.
All right, let's jump over to another super chat this morning. And let's see here. Let's take this one from Rocky P. He says, now that fall camp is over outside of offensive line depth, what are the biggest concerns for Texas heading into the season?
For me, it's secondary getting on the same page, man.
Yeah.
If the Texas defense can be good up front and stop the run, and we think they can, I think this defense, and we know they can get after the passer. This defense can be elite if they can replicate the communication and intelligence they played with a year ago. Not just the athleticism, but the communication and intelligence. If they can do that, I feel really, really confident. So that would be my only thing, Rocky P. I do think offensive line depth is there. I think that we have to question wide receiver depth a little bit at this point, because if one guy goes down, you're looking at different folks, especially if Emmett Mosley's injury sidelines him even longer.
And then we have a super chat here from Bean. He says, Jerry, I know it's just a video game, but when I put Clark in as my starting back, the game changes. 12 carries, 155 yards.
Yeah, look, I'm not a video game guy, but I'll take your word for it. Somebody I think in the chat earlier was like, hey, Sark may not like his running back room. I think Sark really likes his running back room. I think they really think they got great depth at running back this year, and maybe in a better position to withstand injury this year than they were a season ago, because Jarrett Gibson's a sophomore, Christian Clark is redshirt freshman, but second year in the program, obviously, and James Simons had some really good moments in the spring. I think he had a good scrimmage Saturday, so I think he's a really talented freshman that's done a lot of the right things that they like. I think Texas has really good running back depth. I do think Christian Clark could be maybe the big playback in the run game potentially.
Yeah, Christian Clark, I think, is the guy that makes people miss. I mean, of that group, that's my and that's not. I think Wisner glides, and he just has such a good vision for the cutback lanes. I mean, he scored. Well, he didn't score that one touchdown. Silas Bolden fell on the ball, but his vision for the cutback lane killed Oklahoma. Absolutely killed Oklahoma. That is a defense that is predicated on flowing to the football. That's what Brent Venables teaches. And it killed A&M because that's what Mike Elko teaches. The ability to cut back. Wisner sees that cutback lane as well as anybody. Does he make as many people miss in the open field as I think Christian Clark can? That's a little different. Now, Clark, I think it's important to note that he has been running third team all fall camp. Okay, so we would think mean that he's going to be third team going into whenever Steve Sarkisian releases the depth chart. But we're not in those headsets, and we can't tell you unequivocally what's going to happen. It's very similar in that regard to. I mean, right now we know what happened at parts of the scrimmage on Saturday at backup quarterback. We can't tell you what Steve Sarkisian is going to decide. We don't know if, one person checked into the right plays and the other didn't. But I think that Christian Clark right now he's one of those guys you're not thinking about enough as the Texas season develops, in my opinion.
Big thing for him is hold on to the football. Had a couple of dropsies or fumbleies in earlier practice. Got to hold on to the ball as he gets in the game now. That's the biggest thing for any young back. Role left. Will we see Zena play a good amount this year? What will his role be this season? I think we're going to see Zena. Texas really liked Zena in the spring. Then he hurt his thumb. Now he's back healthy. I think we're going to see Zena play. I'm not saying Ohio State necessarily. I don't know that. I think experience matters in that game. But as the season moves along, I think we're going to see a good amount of Zena, Bobby. I just think he brings a different length to that position maybe than anybody else. I mean, outside of Ethan Burke. I mean, those are your long arm, super long arm edge guys.
Lance Jackson fits that role too. I mean, they are designed to be those those strong side defensive ends. I mean, Zena will look as good as any player on the roster walking off the bus, by the way. I can tell you that from watching fall camp. I mean, he looks like, I'll tell you this. You put the play of Colin Simmons into the body of Zena, and you would have like the perfect defensive end of all time.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that out there.
Zena reminds me of the guys that James Franklin brings into Penn State, and you don't see them for a year and a half, 2 years, and they end up being draft picks.
Yep.
Those guys that maybe he gets from Maryland, DC, Virginia, and you forget about them, and then they just pop onto the scene when they're all built up and they got their armor on, and you're like, whoa. And then you go back and watch the huddle. I was like, well, that guy wasn't that good in high school, but look at him now. That's kind of what Zena reminds me of. But he was a good player in high school, but he was raw.
All right, Bobby, do us the favor and tell us about John Donovan one more time.
Yeah, absolutely. John's about to start his third football season as our lead sponsor for Monday's Coffee and Football Show, and he has a favor to ask of all OTF fans out there. John has submitted 2 presentation proposals to be voted on for inclusion in the 2026 South by Southwest Festival, scheduled for next March in Austin. 1/3 of the selection committee's decision is based on public voting for their favorite proposed presentations. So John is asking for help from the OTF family. Please take a photo of your screen now or come back and scroll the YouTube video of today's show later so you can use the provided QR codes you see on your screen to vote by no later than this coming Sunday, August 24th. John's presentation is titled Financial Wellness, a Key to Mental and Physical Wellness, and he needs your votes in both the core South by Southwest competition and South by Southwest EDU competition, the latter being focused solely on the education and community audience. John, thank you very much. And always, he says, hook 'em horns from the folks at Longhorn Wealth Management Group.
Thank you, Bobby. Okay, guys, we got a few more super chats to get to this morning. And I wanted to take this one here from, of course, we got Sugarcane Daddy who said, Omaha, getting ready for football season.
He's been asking on chats if Sark will put in something where Arch gets the signal Omaha, where Omaha's part of the call. Maybe not week 1, but I could see it.
And then Q Snipes here with the super chat says from Lorain, Ohio, about 30 minutes or 30 miles from Cleveland and 2 hours from Columbus. August 30th, can't get here fast enough. Hook 'em. And guys, while obviously we're waiting for the Texas versus Ohio State in that true week 1, week 0 actually starts this weekend. So we do get a little college football this weekend. I'm going to put the schedule up here. And I guess obviously the biggest game is going to be Iowa State and Kansas State.
Yeah, and look, that'll be obviously ESPN on the road in Dublin, Ireland, which is a cool way to kick off the season. Obviously, Pat McAfee, Nick Saban, everybody out in Ireland, they had a lot of fun last year over there for a game. I think it'll be a blast once again. I actually think it's an interesting game because, look, I mean, that's a top 25 matchup right out of the gate, first game of the college football season. And if you're looking at some of these teams and making sleeper picks, and we know what Iowa State brings with Matt Campbell, is Avery Johnson actually going to take a step and become a real dude, or just be the guy that everybody continues to think, man, if he ever puts it together, he could be really good. I think that's a big thing because I'm not there with Avery Johnson. I think he's got talent, but I'm still waiting. And then the late game, I don't know how many people are going to watch it, but Stanford, Hawaii is just, I mean, Andrew Luck is kind of running that program now, Bobby, and didn't have a coach for a period of time. It's just such a weird spot they're in as a program. It'll be interesting to just hear thoughts. I'm sure Andrew Luck will be talked to at some point. I'd like to just hear his thoughts because he's a super intelligent guy. Where's college football at for him? Where's it at for Stanford? What is kind of his plans for the future of Stanford football? Because I do think that matters. Because look, there's a certain school out there, and I know it's different because of NIL, that academically offers something that can, if they ever get it going again, you can lose a recruit or two to that school because of the degree. I'd just be interested to see what Andrew Luck has planned for Stanford football because I don't follow it close enough to actually know what he's saying.
You talk about a school that could do NIL right.
Yeah.
I mean, geez. But I don't think that's a priority. And I don't think athletics is a true athletic. Competition in football has not always been their priority. They want to be a well-rounded college sports program. We'll see exactly what kind of effort they put into football. I would not bet against Andrew Luck, though. I just want to put that out there. He seems like he's a little bit of a winner in life. So I would not vote against him. A couple of people mentioned a couple other things I want to mention. Iowa State versus Kansas State is a conference game.
Mm-hmm.
That is in Dublin, I think. Is it Dublin or Cork?
It's Dublin. It's Dublin.
It is Dublin for sure. Okay. The other game I wanted to circle here, or at least soft circle, is Sam Houston State at Western Kentucky. I mean, Sam Houston State, Texas, is on the schedule for the Longhorns. So let's see what the Bearcats have. They go up and play Western Kentucky. That is on Saturday as well. It'll be on CBS if you want to tune in. I'm gonna DVR it and make sure I record it. So I will actually have some prep work that I can do this week. That's the only team I believe that Texas plays out of this group this year.
There you go. Okay, fellas, we got time for just another question or so. And let's see here. We've had a lot of people ask about Isaiah Bond. Of course, he signed a contract with Cleveland over the weekend, fellas. ITR here, for example. Wants y'all's thoughts.
Really talented player if he's locked in fully on football and his team and where he's at.
You know, it's interesting. I think he got a 3-year. If he got a 3-year fully guaranteed contract, that shows the value of being an undrafted free agent. I mean, it really does, because that's not what Quinn Ewers, that's not what the 7th round guys got.
Yeah.
Now Quinn may have gotten, but my point being, 7th round pick ain't getting $3 million guaranteed.
No.
So I know it was horrible, the situation that happened, and so I'm not, not wanting to talk about that, but at least I think because of that, he was a free agent and ended up making money off of it, probably.
And then one other question I've seen before we get out here a lot today and over the past few days, like this one from Brian Bobby. He says, I may have missed it, but what's the scoop on OTF's Ohio State tailgate?
So we're not doing a tailgate. They wanted to put us basically a mile, 3/4 of a mile from the stadium. So they're just, that's not what I want tailgate experience to be. I'm going to go to the X's tailgate. They have one if you guys can get in there. But I am going to be hosting a happy hour of sorts on Friday afternoon. We'll be doing our live broadcast from 3 to 4 that day, Central Time, which is 4 to 5 Eastern. And then we will try to get in and figure out exactly where that is. I've got 2 different locations I'm talking to. I will let everybody know, but hopefully you can just come out, hang out for a beer or 2, hang out, and we all talk. And then if you want to, you can go eat a nice dinner somewhere else in Columbus.
And I lied. We're gonna do one more question, but first, because I forgot earlier, I need Jerry to tell us about Hargrove Roofing as well.
Absolutely. I love this one. Stevie Lee will be on the winning drive this afternoon, by the way. Thank you very much to our friends over at Hargrove Roofing, with offices across Texas, including Austin, as well as Louisiana and Arkansas. Hargrove Roofing will take care of all your roofing needs. Plus, they're very Longhorn friendly, with partners like former defensive tackle Stevie Lee, who I mentioned earlier. They're the most burnt orange roofing company out there. No one wants to turn their home over to a company they can't trust. So call Hargrove today for a free, no strings attached roof inspection. I will give you 100% guarantee from Hargrove Roofing.
Know who's on your roof.
Yes.
Right.
I love it when Stevie says that. He's got that big bass voice. Know who's on your roof.
And that's like that. Know who's on your roof like carries over to life, like raccoon,
It does.
squirrel. You ever woke up at 3 a.m. and something's like moving around? You got to know what's on your roof, right? At all times. It's a rough way to wake up at 3 a.m. sometimes.
No, metaphorically know who's on your roof.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
We will close with this question. We talked about Baxter at the beginning of the show, so it's fitting that we end with him. Jason Davis, 1972, says, Bobby, does having a healthy CJ Baxter early in the season change your predictions any?
I don't know if it changes my prediction. I think that I want to, Jason, I would put it this way. Does having a relatively healthy CJ Baxter early in the season help? Because I was not anticipating him being as healthy as he is. He's still not full, like 100%. He's wearing, the young man's wearing a knee brace as a running back.
Right.
In scrimmage. So there's levels. I think that what it does give me confidence on is I felt like last year, second and goal from the 2, you're not calling a pitch play with Cedric Baxter.
No.
Against Ohio State.
No.
So if it comes down to the same sort of play, I don't think our boy Trey Wisner is getting it on a pitch. So fundamentally, could that change the outcome of a game? Yes. Does it necessarily change my prediction overall? Not really, because I still think he's going to be better if he's healthy and can stay healthy and endure it. I think he'll be much more valuable to Texas in SEC play. Where, look, Trey Wisner's going to get banged up. He was banged up this weekend. Trey was and nicked up. It's okay, but the point being, those sorts of things are going to happen. You need guys like Cedric Baxter to close games. 3rd and 2 against Alabama. You want to be able to run the ball, or, I'm a big believer in Cedric Baxter. I don't know that he changes my prediction against Ohio State at this point.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football, presented by John Donovan and Longhorn Wealth Management Group. Want to thank John, along with Hargrove Roofing, Prize Picks, and Ridge Wallet, all for sponsoring today's show. Of course, thank you all for tuning in as well. Be sure to head on over to ontexasfootball.com. If you're not a member, sign up using promo code OTFOG. You can get a full year of access for just $39.95. Again, new subscribers only, promo code OTFOG. And that's not the only thing that's great about On Texas Football. Bobby, you recently restocked the store.
Yeah. Look, I'll talk about the store. We've got gear going out all the time. New coffee mug with the Coffee and Football logo. Shop.ontexasfootball.com. Shop.ontexasfootball.com. But Blake, put that subscription thing up real quick if you don't mind.
I will.
I want to talk about this. See that guy? He's on the far left of my screen. Ryan Wingo, number 5. He's now changed numbers this year. He had a whale of a scrimmage on Saturday, guys. And that guy in the middle got it to him, Arch Manning. So we may be looking at a breakout year for Ryan Wingo this year.
That's good stuff. Okay. Let's see here. Other than that, Bobby, What do you have today for everybody?
Jerry and I, we started the show talking about surprises. Jerry took Ty Anthony Smith. I took Cedric Baxter's health. We're actually going to rank surprises from this fall camp for us going into it. We'll do that. Steve Sarkisian goes to the microphone or the podium at 11 o'clock this morning. Jeff and CJ are there for us. We'll have live reaction from that as well as video from it for you guys, some takeaways. And then there's the there's the winning drive with Coach Shipley, Rod Babers, and CJ Vogel, as well as talking ball later tonight. Jerry and I going to talk a little recruiting. Jerry mentioned earlier in this show a young defensive back that is reclassifying from contemplating reclassifying from 27 to 26 that Texas already has a beat on. So a lot of news and notes. We are 12 days away, guys. If you can't taste it, football is in the air. I'll just put it that way. I'm ready for it. It is actually game week for folks.
Yes, it is.
It's hard to believe.
I'm so ready. I mean, I even watched NFL football this past weekend from the preseason football. I even did that. I mean, that's how, starved I was. I did see. Oh, by the way, congrats to Scotty Scheffler.
Yes.
You're a freak. You're unbelievable, Scotty. Congratulations.
I did not watch much NFL, but it's so close to football season, but there's no football. I started watching the series Queen of the South for the second time.
Oh my gosh.
On Netflix. Oh, it's a great one.
And on that note,
it's a great. Somebody in the chat seen Queen of the South, and we'll tell you it's a great series.
I watched some of it, Jerry.
Awesome.
I made it through like the first crazy part, and then I said, too crazy.
All right. Well, I hope you all have a phenomenal day out there. Of course, we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.